Hello everyone. Welcome to the session on helicopter dynamics. I am Professor Srinidhi. The topic of this video is blade element analysis in hovering as well as in axial flight. The most modern analysis of helicopter rotor aerodynamics is the blade element theory. Why? Because it provides estimates of the radial and azimuthal distributions of blade aerodynamic loading over the rotor disc. This theory assumes that each blade section acts as a quasi two-dimensional airfoil to produce aerodynamic forces as well as moment. Tip loss and other empirical factors may be applied to account for three-dimensional effect. Rotor performance can be obtained by integrating the sectional air loads at each blade element over the length of the blade and then averaging the result over the rotor revolution. Therefore, unlike the simple momentum theory, this blade element theory can be used as a basis to help design the rotor blades in terms of blade twist, the planform distribution, and also the airfoil shape to provide a specified overall rotor performance. In this video, we'll be discussing about the blade element theory and its analysis in hovering and axial flight. The blade element theory. This sketch shows the flow environment and aerodynamic forces at a representative blade element on the rotor. Your blade element is dy. The aerodynamic forces are assumed to arise only from the velocity and angle of attack normal to the leading edge of the blade section. The effect of radial component of the velocity is UR on the lift is usually ignored in accordance with the independence principle. But the UR component will affect the drag on the blade in forward flight and should be included here. The measured two-dimensional aerodynamic characteristics of airfoil as a function of angle of attack can be assumed for the purpose of calculating the resultant lift and pitching moment on each blade element. The inflow angle of attack phi arises primarily because of the velocity induced by the rotor and its wake. Therefore, the induced velocity serves to modify the direction of the relative flow velocity vector and so alters the angle of attack at each blade element from its 2D value. This inflow velocity also inclines the local lift vectors, which by definition act perpendicular to the resultant velocity vector at the blade element and therefore provides a source of induced drag and is also the source of induced power required at the rotor shaft. Now, blade element analysis in hover and axial flight. So this blade element analysis has been published by a lot of authors, lot of engineers in 1950s, in 1970s and in late 80s. The resultant local flow velocity at any blade element at the radial distance y from the rotational axis has an out of plane component, that is UP, that's equal to Vc plus Vi, and to the normal rotor as a result of climb and induced inflow and an in plane component, that is Ut, is equal to omega y parallel to the rotor because of the blade rotation relative to the disc plane. The resultant velocity at the blade element therefore will be u is equal to square root of ut square plus up square. The relative inflow angle at the blade element, or you can say the induced angle of attack of the blade element, is phi. That's equal to tan inverse up by ut, which is approximately is equal to up by ut for small angles. Usually the angle of attack, induced angle of attack, will be small during hover and axial flight. Thus, if the pitch angle at blade element is theta, then the aerodynamic or effective angle of attack is alpha. That's equal to alpha is equal to theta minus phi. That's equal to theta minus up by ut. The resultant incremental lift dl is equal to 1 by 2 rho u square c cl dy, and the resultant incremental drag per unit span on this blade element are dd is equal to 1 by 2 rho u square cd dy, where your cl and cd are the lift and drag coefficients. The lift and drag acts perpendicular and parallel to the resultant flow velocity respectively. And also you can notice that the lowercase c here, which is a quantity c, is the local blade chord. The forces can be resolved perpendicular and parallel to the rotor disc, giving dfz is equal to dl cos phi minus dd sin phi, and dfx is equal to dl sin phi plus dd cos phi. Therefore, the contribution to the thrust, torque and power of the rotor are dt is equal to nb dfz, dq is equal to nb dfx into y, and dp is equal to nb dfx into omega y, where nb is the number of blades comprising the rotor. And also you have to notice that in the hover or axial flight condition, the aerodynamic environment is axisymmetric and the air loads are independent of the blade azimuth angle. That is ideal condition. Now substituting this dfx and dfz with the dt, dq and dp, we get the equation dt is equal to nb into dl cos phi minus dd sin phi, and dq is equal to nb into dl sin phi plus dd cos phi into y. dp is equal to nb into dl sin phi plus dd cos phi into omega y. In order to simplify our blade element analysis, for helicopter rotors we have done some assumptions. That is, the out of the plane velocity up is much smaller than the in plane velocity ut, so that u is equal to square root of ut plus up square, that is almost is equal to ut. This is a valid approximation except near the blade root, but aerodynamic forces are very small here anyway. The induced angle phi is small, so that phi is equal to up by ut, which we have seen in the beginning of this video. Also sin phi will be almost equal to phi, and cos phi will become 1. And the third assumption is the drag is at least one order of magnitude less than the lift, so that the contribution dd sin phi or dd phi is negligible. Now applying these simplifications and assumptions to the equation dt, dq and dp, we get dt is equal to nb dl, dq is equal to nb into phi dl plus dd into y, dP is equal to NB omega into phi dl plus dd into y. And for our convenience, we can introduce some non-dimensional quantities to the analysis, to the equations. So to introduce the non-dimensional quantities, we have to divide the lengths by r and velocities by omega r. So let your lowercase r is equal to y by capital R, and also this gives us the equation u by omega r is equal to omega y by omega r, that's equal to y by r, that's again equal to lowercase r. And thus we get the equation dct is equal to dt by rho a omega r whole square, and dcq is equal to dq by rho a omega r whole square into r, and dcp is equal to dp by rho a omega r whole cube. Continuing with this, the inflow ratio lambda can be written as Vc plus Vi by omega r. This equation we have to multiply and divide by omega y, that gives us Vc plus Vi by omega y into omega y by omega r. Vc plus Vi by omega y, we get the equation up by ut, and omega y by omega r is small r, that's equal to up by ut into y by r, that's equal to phi into r. Therefore, the increment in thrust coefficient dCt is given by NBdl by rho a omega r whole square. Now substituting this dl and equation for a, we get the simplified equation is 1 by 2 NBc by pi r into Cl r square dr. So in the second step, you can see here y by r, we have grouped it so that we get the lowercase r, and also why we have done the grouping NBC by pi r. Why? Because the concept of rotor solidity comes into picture. Rotor solidity is the ratio of the rotor blade area to the rotor disc area, that is sigma, that's equal to AB by A. AB is equal to C into R into NB. NB is number of blades in the rotor. So NBCR, and disc area is pi r square. So NBCR by pi r square, R is cancelled and we get NBC by pi r. That is why we have done the grouping NBC by pi r in the previous equation. This leads us to the simplified equation, or the final equation of the rotor thrust coefficient increment, which is simply dCt is equal to 1 by 2 sigma Cl r square dr. Here sigma is the rotor solidity, Cl is the lift coefficient, r is y by r. This is one of the most fundamental equation for rotating wing analysis by means of blade element theory. By similar approach of this analysis of previous analysis, it can be shown that rotor torque coefficient increment is dCq, that is equal to dCp, which is equal to dq by rho a omega r whole square into r. We have to substitute the equation for dq and substitute the equation for a. dq is equal to nb into phi dl plus dy into y, and for a it is pi r square. So on removing the denominator and upper part, we get 1 by 2 nbc by pi r into phi cl plus cd into r cube dr. Now nbc by pi r is your rotor solidity sigma. On simplifying, dcq is equal to dcp, that is rotor torque coefficient increment, is equal to 1 by 2 sigma phi cl plus cd r cube dr, which will be noted to represent the sum of an induced part and a profile part. With this, we have concluded with the blade element analysis. So in this video, we have discussed about the blade element theory, how it came into picture, and what is the theory, what is the blade, different forces and velocities acting on the blade, and the blade element dy. Then we have discussed about the blade element analysis. The step by step is the resultant velocity, and then the angle of attack, then the concept of incremental lift and drag, then the concept of incremental thrust, torque and power. Then on applying the three assumptions, we get incremental thrust, torque and power. Then we discussed about the incremental thrust coefficient, torque power coefficient. With this, we have concluded with today's video. Please subscribe, comment and share the video. Thank you.